Even though lions and leopards might look similar, there are a lot of differences. And funny enough, I think they're a pretty good parallel to compare the American Express Platinum with the Capital One Venture X. We're going to look at them using 7 different factors and hopefully help you figure out which one is a better fit for your situation. Big favor, take a bite out of the like button to help out with the algorithm, that way other people can see this, and if you are new, then maybe scratch the subscribe button. Hopefully that's less cringe than it sounds in my head. Let's do a weigh-in and start with the annual fees. The Platinum comes in at a hefty $695, while the Venture X is a comparably nimble $395. Annual fees are a bit weird though because you do get a lot of credits. In that sense, you want to look at the net number, annual fee, minus realizable credits for the effective annual fee. With that said, for number 2, let's look at the credits. For the Platinum in particular, I'd be careful to only count things that you can capitalize on and realize. Even for me, the marketing of the top line number is a bit too much. With that said, for the Venture X, you get a $300 travel credit that works for Capital One travel. You're also going to get 10,000 miles every anniversary. Minimum value here is $100 towards travel. You get this on your first card member anniversary and every subsequent one. For example, if you get the card July 2024, first anniversary is July 2025, then next one July 2026, and so on. These points also can be worth a lot more, and we'll get into that towards the middle section when we talk about transfer partners. So $395 annual fee minus $300 travel credit minus $100 minimum value for the anniversary points is negative $5. This means that you're getting $5 in value for keeping the card long term. If you do at least one trip a year, you're probably breaking even, and that's before considering any of the other benefits. With the Platinum card, the marketing is that you're getting over $1,500 in credits. Lots of different options here. I would focus only on maybe the top 5 because I think those are the most tangible. For example, Uber is super easy, and worst case, use it for Uber Eats and do a pickup order for takeaway. Airline fee credit can cover a lot of incidentals, and there also are some advanced strategies. Hotel credit is pretty easy if you travel and you either use FHR or Hotel Collection. Saks is a little bit annoying, but there are a lot of things you can buy such as sunscreens, mini colognes, and things like face wash. The digital entertainment credit works for some pretty big options like Disney+, Hulu, and ESPN+. Again, there's a lot of credits here. I think the goal isn't necessarily using every single one of them, especially if you don't already use that service. It's more so about getting within striking distance to that $695 annual fee. If you do want to quantify this a bit more, I'd recommend playing with our calculator where you can adjust the numbers. It should pop up if you Google Ask Sebi Platinum Worth It, and I'll also link it down below. Okay, so we have an annual fee and a bunch of credits. Why bother with the card? For most people, it's going to be about number 3, airport lounge access. If anything, this is why people bother jumping through hoops with the credits. Capital One lounges where it's free for you and you can bring 2 other people with you. Same thing for Plaza Premium, you plus 2. Priority Pass is super interesting here. It's a little bit broken, but in the best way. With the Venture X, you get unlimited guests for Priority Pass, and this has been confirmed with Capital One. Technically, there is no limit on the number of people you bring in, and some people have brought up to 10 people without issue. In practice, the size of the lounge and how busy it is will play a role. If the lounge has a capacity of 50 and you roll up with 40 people, they're probably not going to let you in. Pretty competitive lounge access. The only downside is Capital One lounges themselves. The main issue is that it's still a growing network and not as established as it needs to be. If you live in or you often go to Dallas, Denver, or Washington, then you're good. Otherwise, it might feel a bit weak, and especially so if you compare it to the Platinum card. There's a ton of Centurion lounges in the US and even around the world. This includes major airports like Atlanta and Dallas, popular destinations like Vegas and Los Angeles, and they pretty much have a stronghold on New York all the way down to Miami. Also tech hubs like San Francisco and Seattle. Internationally, you have megacities like Hong Kong, London, and Mumbai. And also a lot of other major cities like Delhi, Sydney, and Mexico City. And this is just American Express by itself and completely ignoring their other partners. A great example of this is Escape Lounges, which does a pretty good job covering smaller airports like Reno and Sacramento. Another example is Lufthansa when you're flying within their group and you still get Plaza Premium for you and 2 guests. Priority Pass here is you and 2 guests. If you fly Delta, you have a great option with their lounges. You pretty much get 10 days worth of visits, and some people go on departure and on arrival, meaning that it might be 20 to 30 lounge visits, depending on how you fly and whether you have connections. Delta also has a pretty absurd network in their own right, with over 50 lounges in the world. We'll look at some other factors, but if you had to simplify this, I think the Capital One Venture X is great if you're new to travel and getting your feet wet. The lower annual fee and the easier to use credits also help with this. If instead you're more of an experienced traveler and you value the lounge network, and especially so if you get value from the credits, then I think the Platinum card can be better. Also because of the superpower for the VentureX. On that note, if you want to learn about these two cards or pretty much any other cards out there, and you want to support the channel, we do have links on the website, AskSebby.com, and also down below in the description box. Make sure the links are competitive and that the cards make sense for you, but otherwise it is a huge way to support the channel, so thank you guys in advance. Moving into number 4, we have multipliers. The Amex Platinum is great specifically for flights booked directly with airlines or through Amex Travel. Also for prepaid hotels through Amex Travel. That's pretty much it because everything else is just 1x back. The VentureX is a lot more interesting here because you have the same 5x for flights through Capital One Travel, but you also have 10x for hotels and car rentals through their platform as well. More interesting is 2x on everything. The benefit being that it can be a great catch-all option and also a solitary one-and-done pick. You can add other cards like the Saver and Saver 1, but they don't feel as necessary. In contrast with the Platinum, you'd probably want to add the Gold card and maybe even the Green, and then something like the Blue Business Plus, BPP, as the catch-all. Speaking of points, one of the big draws is what you can do with them. If you're trying to maximize upside, you're taking the points from American Express or Capital One and then transferring them over to an airline or hotel partner. For example, 100k American Express MR points transferred over to either ANA or Virgin Atlantic. This is not booking through the American Express site, it's turning your points into other points and then using those points to book. The idea being that this allows you to redeem more efficiently for aspirational travel, and if you want to put it another way, 100,000 points might only be $1,000 in cash or $1,000 in travel through their respective portals. If you transfer the points over, that might be a business or first class flight that would retail for $8,000 or $10,000. If you do not care about that type of travel, then I think both cards are about the same. You can argue a lot of rabbit holes, but you're still getting about 1 cent per point, so 1 penny for each point. If you're entering the points world, I'd strongly recommend looking into transfers. Across both, there's 27 partners, so we'll break it down into 3 pieces. For these, we are looking for differences, but specifically impactful ones. I'll highlight some of the best options. Air Canada Aeroplan is on both sides, and it's a pretty great pick if you are flying Star Alliance. ANA is a great option even with the recent changes, and that's only on the American Express side. Even if you don't want to fly to Canada, Aeroplan still works for other Star Alliance partners like Lufthansa. Moving to chart number 2, I would be super careful about recognizable names. I like flying Delta, but I would not recommend transferring points over to them because the value just isn't there. Emirates is on both sides, and it's pretty much the only way to fly their first class. Flying Blue can have a ton of value, and Hilton might be interesting when there are promotions. Moving to chart number 3, and in the same vein as Delta, I would ignore JetBlue. Qantas and Singapore can be interesting, and they're on both sides. Turkish has some good use cases, and Virgin is also great. It obviously depends on where you want to go and what you're redeeming for. For example, if you're trying to go to Japan and you're struggling to find availability with Virgin for ANA, then transferring over to ANA might make more sense. If you travel, one of the great benefits of travel cards is insurances. Both of these are tier 1 cards and have amazing coverage. For example, both have emergency assistance or emergency evacuation. So in that sense, there are a lot of similarities, but also some differences. I would say that the VentureX is a bit better for car rentals because it comes with primary collision damage waiver, primary CDW. In contrast, the Platinum has secondary CDW, and that by itself is an entire rabbit hole. The Platinum is better to me for shopping due to return protection, which can save you up to $300 per item and up to $1,000 per year. For example, let's say you buy a camera and it doesn't work as well as you would like, and you want to return it, but you are past the return deadline for the merchants. You can actually do return protection and send it back to American Express. The refund is only up to $300 though, and it depends on the cost of your item. There are a ton of terms, so you want to be careful. For example, if you buy a $700 lens, you do return protection, you have to send this back to them, and they're only giving you $300 back. Still though, it can save you a few $100 for spending 5 minutes doing paperwork. The last one is going to be superpowers. The Platinum card comes in with a lot of partner statuses. For example, Marriott Bonvoy Gold status and also Hilton Gold status. This generally helps with upgrades to higher floors, late checkout, and maybe even breakfast. You also get a ton of car rental statuses, so National Emerald Club Executive, Hertz Presidential Circle, and Avis Preferred Plus. Perks can include things like free additional drivers, 1-class upgrade, and guaranteed vehicle availability. It might be a bit surprising, but car rentals are not guaranteed. If anything, it's often closer to restaurant reservations where they can and do give your table away, compared to something like flights or hotels where you're generally locked in. The Platinum card is more solid on this front. The Venture X did play here as well, but a lot of them seem more temporary and they're doubling down on other elements. For example, adding authorized users. With American Express Platinum, each authorized user is $195 per year. It did used to be a little bit cheaper, but they did raise the prices. With the Venture X, you can add up to 4 authorized users for no additional charge. It gets even better. Your authorized users can access Capital One lounges, and they also get their own Priority Pass card. That means that you have that one annual fee that's pretty heavily subsidized, and you can potentially get up to 4 additional people lounge access. That might be a player 2, siblings, parents, or adult kids. This is probably one of the more broken and absurd benefits in the credit card world right now. Overall, I don't think you can really go wrong with either pick, and it depends on what you're optimizing for. If you're very focused on lounge access and hotel statuses, then probably the Platinum card. If you're looking for something that's easier to justify, that's more family friendly, and can help other people in your network, then the Venture X is a bit better. One is a heavyweight option that relies on size and strength to win, and generally does require a bit more support for it to work well. The other one's more agile and strong for its size, and can be a more solitary, standalone pick. Again, if you want to learn about cards, we have links on our website, AskSebby.com, and also down below in the description box. If you made it to this point in the video, then leave a lion emoji if you're on Team American Express Platinum, and then a leopard emoji if you're on Team Venture X. 2 questions for you. Number 1, what's your favorite benefit? And number 2, do you have any cool stories using the features of the card? Let me know and everyone else know in the comments down below. Big favorite, thumbs up, share this with a friend, but otherwise hope you liked it. See you next time.